Sairam, good morning, Guru Reddy garu. Namaste.
Good morning.
Bagunara?
Super.
Very good.
Ed Kaburlo.
Good morning, sir. Guru Reddy, sir.
Morning, Vijay Kumar. Morning, how are you?
Fine, sir.
Good.
మీరు వరల్డ్ రికార్డు సృష్టించబోతున్నందుకు మీకు ముందే హార్టీ కంగ్రాచులేషన్స్ చెప్తున్నాను.
ఎవరికి మాకా?
మీకు.
ఎందుకు?
మీ ఇప్పుడు ఇంత హైయెస్ట్ నెంబర్ ఆఫ్ రోబోటిక్ జాయింట్ రిప్లేస్మెంట్స్ ఇన్ సచ్ ఎ షార్ట్ స్పాన్ ఆఫ్ టైమ్.
అవును.
I think is a record in itself.
Yeah, record already. So we are going to set many more records in the future.
మాకేమో రికమెండేషన్లు వస్తుంటాయి గురువారెడ్డి గారికి మాకు కాస్త కన్సల్టేషన్ ఇప్పించమని. మీదేమో 3 నెలలు 4 నెలల దాకా అన్ని బుక్ అయి ఉన్నాయి. వెరీ గుడ్. ఐ విష్ యూ కంటిన్యూ ది సేమ్ వే అండ్ expand the horizons.
You will be glad to know that your son is a major contributor.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Both execution and in the research.
Yeah.
And I think he got the gene from his mother.
అంతే లేకపోతే మనదైతే కనుక మనం ఇక్కడ కూర్చొని హార్ట్ సర్జరీ వెరీ గుడ్.
Right.
Well.
So Vishnu, Dr. Vishnu, spine surgeon, how are you settling?
Sir, I'm doing good, sir. Good morning. Very good morning.
Very good. Nice atmosphere. No politics.
Yes, sir.
All
Yes, sir.
fun. Enjoy yourself.
Thank you, sir.
Good. Yeah.
Looking forward for the presentation, sir.
Yeah, sure. Kalyan, how are you? You settling down?
Sir, good morning, sir. I'm good. I'm very good, sir. I'm settling down.
Excellent. Good.
Yeah, good morning, boss.
Yeah, Nagarjuna, good morning.
Good morning, sir.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
Today there is a transplant inspection meeting is there for Gachibowli. The team is coming. We finished the kidney transplant inspection on Monday.
Done well?
Yeah. And next
Very
day inspection is over. So today.
Mom,
Sorry.
Bhavani mom, are you there?
Yes, boss.
Yes,
boss.
yes.
Your son
He's-
is going to present. You have to be there. Like in the school days, when I was there attending all parents' meetings, you were not there.
What? Anybody will believe that?
Yes, I was the only father attending the parent meetings. You were always busy.
Okay, so 8 o'clock and 29 people logged in.
So, you want to wait for 2-3 more minutes? Or?
Yeah. I think we're getting adequate number, but still 2-3 minutes.
ఇంకా మీరు 5 minutes ఆగచ్చు, అందరు వస్తారు.
Yeah. ఈ లోపల గప్పగా వేసుకుంటున్నాం. So, others tell some cinemas which are good.
He's sensitive to the presentation.
Huh?
He's sensitive about the presentation.
For him, every presentation is like a movie.
I know.
It takes so much time to prepare that. I think
Sir, 1 second, sir. I'm just coming. I'll join within 1 minute. There's one patient.
1 o'clock దాకా ఉన్నట్టు.
No problem.
Right. May already by this time we finished 4 cases and joining the meeting.
Oh.
2 in Gachibowli, 2 in Secunderabad.
Oh, okay.
Right. So, Subbu, how are you? I think I'll send my this week. I wrote on little soldiers. I'll send across.
About the movie that was made?
Little soldiers, I paid 25 years in there.
Okay.
So I wrote an article on the little soldiers 25 years.
Oh, okay.
I just sent you across.
Yes. One
పోయిన
page.
వారం చచ్చి బతకడం అంటే ఇదేనాకి బోల్డ్ అంత కామెంట్స్ కాంప్లిమెంట్స్ వచ్చినాయి. People really appreciated the way we treated the human face of it. Right. I think thanks to Anil Mulpur because patient came because of your connections, isn't it?
అవును సార్, అవును సార్. డాక్టర్ పద్మావతి అని మన ఇప్పుడు ఎమ్మెల్సీకి నుంచి ఉంటున్న ఎన్ రామచంద్రరావు గారి ఓన్ సిస్టర్. She is a year junior to me. She is the wife of my classmate, my wife's classmate. And she has got a decent practice and she's a very good doctor.
Yeah, did you tell her that what happened and how you saved her?
Sure. Anta, she has been following up.
Okay.
Yeah.
And ER team opinion తీసుకున్నందుకు ఇనిషియేటివ్ తీసుకున్నందుకు.
Yeah, it's very widely appreciated.
Yeah, good. Bro, చాలా హాస్పిటల్స్ లో ఈజ్ అంబులెన్స్ లోనే ట్రాక్ చేసేస్తున్నారు. అంబులెన్స్ లోకి, ఎందుకంటే అంబులెన్స్ నుంచి మళ్ళీ కిందకి దిగితే మళ్ళీ పంపించడం కష్టం అని చెప్పి. దట్స్ నాట్ ఆఫ్ అట్మాస్ఫియర్ లో దిస్ ఈజ్ రియలీ వెరీ వెరీ fulfilling and heart touching. Others, you're okay? You're ready?
I'm ready. I just want to see if Kushal is online.
Okay. Kushal.
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay.
Yeah.
Great.
So,
Yeah.
Kushal,
Start when you're ready, sir.
Yeah.
Okay. I think
Very. Yes, sir. Sorry.
yes. Go on, boss. Go on, Kushal.
Yeah, Nagarjuna, all yours.
Oh, okay. So I think we're very happy today. Already we have got 40 people. That shows the popular voting, and we want to listen to the new success story, the two. And today the topic is, this is our 146 academic program, and today the topic is Sunshine Orthobotics. So there must be Orthorobotics, and like for Sunshine. Again, for this program, Gurwad is the chief architect with 4 strong soldiers, and Dr. Kushal, Dr. Adarsh, Dr. Suhas, and Dr. Praharsha. So today, I think they're going to tell us the journey of the robotics too. So with this, can I request Dr. Kushal to give the opening remarks? Dr. Kushal?
Yeah, thank you so much, sir. A very good morning to one and all. Apologies, I'm not coming on the video because I'm just driving, going out of town. Otherwise, I would have loved to present along with the team. So Adarsh will start off the presentation. He has worked very hard on the presentation and will be taking you through the entire journey.
Yeah, thank you, Kushal.
Got a call there. So as the heading says, the chief architect, Gurwa Reddy sir, and Suhas sir, Adarsh, Praharsha, and I were trying to do a little bit to take the journey and take the whole thing forward. So today, without getting into too much of the technicality of how the robot functions and all, we will take you through the entire journey. So that is the plan, and I'll hand it over to Adarsh to start off the presentation. Thank you.
Thank you, Kushal. Thank you, Nagarjuna sir. So good morning, everyone. So I'm speaking on behalf of the Sunshine Orthobotics team. That involves a huge array of people actually, but today it will be represented by myself, Suhas sir, Praharsha, Kushal, and Dad. That's Dr. Gurwa Reddy. So the topic's name is Sunshine Orthobotics Joint Replacement 2.0. I request everyone to just mute, and if anyone has any questions in between, you can feel free to ask. Right. So when we talk about robotics, what exactly do we mean? We use this word a lot, especially nowadays in the last few years, especially in the medical field as well. We're talking about robots, robotics, and everything. So I just tried to fish out the definition of robotics and the robot. Robotics is an interdisciplinary field that integrates computer science and engineering. Robotics involves design, construction, operation, and the use of robots. And the goal of robotics is to design machines that can help and assist humans. That's the fundamental basis, that last sentence over there. And what does robot itself mean? Like, it's a very widely used term. It's a very loosely used term. Many machines which are not actually supposed to be known as robots are also being called as robots. So what is a robot? It's a machine which is capable of carrying out a complex series of actions automatically, especially one programmable by a computer. Okay, these are good definitions. They're nice and they sound very fancy. But when we think about robot, we think about this.
Robot.
Right? So even though we have all these definitions and everything, what we think about robots is robo. When Rajni says it, it's got a different kick to it, right? And the first thing that pops to our mind when we think about robots, there's so many different movie robots that we know. On the left side, you have all the good robots. On the right side, you have all the evil robots. Movies have taught us that either robots are very cute, very sweet nature, and they love to help humans, like the guys on the left. This is from AI, Star Wars, Transformers, Terminator, Wall-E, and our own Chitty. And on the right side, movies have also taught us that robots want to take over the world. They're going to destroy human beings, and the world will be taken over them, like the Matrix. Matrix, Blade Runner, again Transformers, and Terminator. But our robots in the medical field are not so dramatic. They don't look like any of these robots. And I will show you a glimpse of what our robot looks like. Many people may have heard of our robot, but I don't think you've actually seen it. But before we go on to ours, there's another very popular robot in the medical field right now. I think most of you might have heard of this, the Da Vinci robot. This is used for gastrosurgery. A lot of our gastro colleagues would have either seen it or even used it at one point in their life. And this is what the gastro robot, Da Vinci robot looks like. And this is a fully automated robot. It actually, you don't even have to be there in the operating field. The surgeon goes and sits behind a console and he controls it from there. Our robot is a little different. So I'll give you a glimpse of our robot. So this is our joint replacement robot. It's actually the Stryker Mako 4th generation robot. And we have nicknamed our robot the Orthobot. Okay, so this is what it looks like. It's not as dramatic as the ones that I showed you in the previous slides. This is the main machine, and this is the robotic arm. Okay, if you notice, the arm is connected to the saw. So finally, the surgery is done by us, but it's connected to this robot through its robotic arm. So this is our robot.
Normal delivery possible kaadu.
Possible. Presentation.
This is what people usually think. Do you think the robot can go into the OT and do anything, like deliver a baby?
We are making history. మొదటిసారిగా ఒక రోబో పురుడు పోస్తుంది.
Yeah, so this is all in the mind of Mr. Shankar, the director, but this is not actually what our robot does. It only assists us. This is what it looks like when we're operating with a Mako robot. As I said, we are still doing the surgery. The saw is attached to the robotic arm. I hope you can see this video. And it helps to give us precision. It helps to hold us within these haptic boundaries to make sure we don't stray out of what we have decided beforehand to cut. It goes within that funnel. It doesn't allow you to cut anything more than that. So still the surgery is being done by us. It is being assisted by this robot. Okay, so you can see this is an animation showing how much bone that we want to cut, and it doesn't let us move out of these boundaries. So let's just briefly classify robots for arthroplasty. This is a classification which is by Chen et al., where they have classified all the different types of robots which are used for joint replacements. So one is the boundary control robot. It's not actually connected to a big robot. It's like usually a mobile piece, and there's a human interaction. It deactivates beyond the boundary, but it's free to move anywhere. So it's kind of a handheld thing. So the most common example of this is the Navio robot, which has been actually taken by quite a few institutes in India, even in Hyderabad, like our colleagues at Medicover Maxior, they also have this Navio robot. But it's debatable whether that can actually be called a robot or not, which I'll show you in the next slide. The semi-autonomous is the one that we have. Our Mako robot is a semi-autonomous one. There is a human interaction, but it's contained within a boundary, and it's fixed to a robot. See the difference between this and this. This actually is not fixed to, it's like a mobile piece. And here you're actually fixing it to a robot. So that example of that is our Mako robot. And then you have the autonomous robot where you're not even touching it, and the robot there's no human interaction over there. And this example is the Da Vinci robot in gastrosurgery. And in orthopedics and in arthroplasty, we have the Cubis. I'll show you in the next slide. So this is the Smith & Nephew Navio, the one which is not connected to an actual robot. You can see it's handheld. Only thing is it doesn't let you go outside the boundary.
Represents 3 millimeters or more. The green is 1 millimeter.
Okay. And this is the Merrill's Cubis robot, where there's no human interaction. You're just standing aside and you're letting the robot do its work after entering your data beforehand. I personally would not like a machine to be operating on me without even a bit of human interaction. This is what it looks like.
The cutting tool is approaching the anterior chamfer cut. On the left bottom of the screen, you can see the speed right now is.
Right. So these are just examples of these two robots. I just give you a brief glimpse of how our robot works. So this is a small video of a total knee replacement being done by us. Dr. Suhas is operating here. And this is actually, we recorded this for one of the conferences. We have boss speaking over it. I'm going to play this now.
Now this is haptic boundary, yellow lines. And once you go outside, it becomes red. It won't let you go there. It's one of the characteristic points of the robotic, macro robotic arm. It won't let you cut the soft tissue outside this haptic boundary. You don't need to see through the wound also.
So if you noticed, we are still doing the surgery. It's connected to our arm, but it's connected to the robotic arm. And you can see the boundaries here. We're trying, whatever cut here is being reflected here, where the green part is getting removed. So this is what our macro robot looks like. So let's go on to what's the need. Yeah, okay, I spoke to you about what exactly it does, what's the different types of robots. But is it really useful? We've been doing joint replacements for donkey years now. Boss himself has started his practice all the way back in 1999 and 2000. He's done thousands and thousands of joints, very successful results. So what is the use of this new technology? I'm going to hand over to Dr. Prahasha and Dr. Suhas to take us through what's the need of the robot. Does it really benefit the patient? Over to you guys.
Yeah, hello everyone. Can you hear me?
Loud and clear.
Yeah, great. So thank you everyone for giving us this opportunity. I think it's been a little over a year since we've launched Mako in Sunshine. And day after day, we've gone through the same grind, achieving milestone after milestone. And I'm so glad that we can actually sit down and share with everybody else in the institution what we've been doing till now. My job here is to, in very generic terms, explain what are the benefits of using a robot for the surgeon firstly, and then what are the benefits for the patient, because ultimately we want to make their outcome much better. If you look at the Mako robot...
I'm sorry, I'm going to interject here. So, sir, sorry about that. I forgot to mention one thing before handing over to Suhas, sir. The robot, our robot is the only one which actually helps to assist in total knee replacements, partial knee replacements, and total hip replacements. No other robot in the world helps in all the three. So we have acquired all the three softwares. So Dr. Suhas and Prasha will be speaking about each of the benefits in each of these different procedures.
Yeah. So there are three core fundamental features of a Mako robot. The first one is called enhanced planning. Secondly, we have the ability to dynamically balance a knee. If you look at the very basic principles of a total knee, we have a flexion gap and an extension gap. And both these gaps have to be matched so that when a knee flexes, it has a good arc of motion. So that ability we obtain from dynamic joint balancing. And thirdly, what this robot can do and what most robots cannot is actually achieve that plan using the robotic arm. So I'll briefly go through each of these three features. In the end, what we achieve is through planning, we have an accurate sizing. We know what size of the femur to put, what size is the tibia, how much we have to align it in what particular plane, because we have 3 degrees of freedom to move these implants. And the second aspect gives us the perfect balance, and I told you why that is important. And thirdly, once you have a plan for a human to physically execute it, it can be erroneous, and you will only know after the procedure is done or after the cut is made. But here you have a fail-safe where you can actually decide on a plan and the robot will exactly help you execute that plan. So let's go through the first fundamental feature. This is an image-based software where a CT scan is done for the patient prior to surgery. And then what you can see the animation is each slit size is actually combined together to generate a 3D model of that particular patient. So it is patient specific. Every knee is different, every deformity is different, every pathology is different. So once that is done, you get a preoperative planning screen like this, where on the right side you have the ability to pick a particular size, and on the left side you can actually see the measurements of how much to cut, so on and so forth. Once this is done, we go into surgery. Once we've planned, we open the joint, we register the bone so that the robot knows that this is actually that particular patient. That means we marry the native anatomy of the patient to the CT scan, which is already in the software. Once this is done, the second aspect, which I told you, the whole idea is to balance these gaps, the gaps both in flexion as well as extension. So here we have the ability to anchor at a particular point on the implant and give certain amount of angulation, which we call varus or valgus, in order to get these gaps to a common number. So in all 4 quadrants, both in flexion and extension, we need to have the same amount of gaps so that we have a good arc of motion. And thirdly, once we know the plan, we feed the plan into the robot. We can attach the saw blade to the robotic arm. And then on the left, you can actually see the visual feedback, which we can get during the surgery. And the green is the amount of bone that needs to be cut. And if we decide that we want to cut 7 mm from the lateral, 3 mm from the medial, the robot will exactly execute that plan for us. And the green line you can actually see is called the haptic boundary. The haptic boundary has the ability to stop us to go beyond. If you manually operate, you don't have a haptic boundary. Sometimes the saw can go beyond the bone and injure soft tissue. It might not cut a ligament, but it can definitely injure it. And that adds to the pain after surgery. So here we have the ability to execute the plan and execute the plan in a very safe and a sound way for every single procedure. Next slide. So these are the 3 basic features of a total knee. Dr. Adarsh, I think 2 weeks ago, talked to everyone about a partial knee replacement. This is where instead of a saw, we have the ability to put a burr onto the same robotic arm. That's why this robot is so versatile, because we can use a saw to do a total knee and we can use a burr to do a partial knee replacement. Partial knee replacement is a great surgery for a particular set of patients who have anteromedial osteoarthritis. This was done from the 70s and 80s, but it fell out of favor because it is technically very challenging to do. A total knee, even if the alignment is here and there, it survives, but a partial knee doesn't survive. So in 5-year outcomes, they've seen that the failure rate was too high and all surgeons started moving away from doing a partial knee manually. But now, after the reintroduction of the Mako robot, it's been 10 years, and 10-year data has been published by surgeons who started operating 10 years ago. And they've clearly shown that there is 98% survival using a robot to do a partial knee. So Dr. Gurvareddy also keeps mentioning this in all conferences. If you want to do a partial knee, since it is so technically demanding, robotic is the only way to go. Now here you have another picture in the end where you can see that if you have arthritis in the other compartments, instead of the medial, if you have it in the patellofemoral, you can do isolated patellofemoral replacement. If you have it in the lateral compartment, you can just do a lateral replacement, and you can do by compartment. So this robot can do all these features one after the other. So that adds to the versatility of the robot. And on the right, you can see one major thing which we don't want to do while doing a Mako partial knee is overstuff. And this can easily happen in a manual knee. But here, because we have the ability to exactly measure the gaps, we never overstuff, because overstuffing leads to progression of the arthritis in the other 2 compartments. So that is something that we can actually avoid while doing a Mako partial knee. Then we move on to the hip joint. This is a live video of Dr. Adarsh actually doing a partial knee. And you can see that here the bar is in action, and then you have a visual feedback again where the green is the amount of bone the robot will actually remove. Now let's move on to hip. Hip again is done less common as compared to knee, and it is again technically demanding. And world over, we've seen study after study that accuracy of placement of the cup is not very good in terms of based on surgeon to surgeon, based on experience, so on and so forth. Again, here the robot gives you absolute precise ability to incline the cup and put a particular amount of version in the cup so that there is no impingement or dislocation. So here it's I can actually we took a video of on a bone saw model to show that if you ream beyond a certain depth, you can actually cause a blowout. And again, this particular robot has a safety mechanism built in, and it will only remove the amount of bone we need, thus protecting the floor of the acetabulum. And the third thing which most surgeons fear is leg length discrepancy, because as you do, once you're done with the surgery, if you end up with an inch of difference, patient can perceive it. And that's the #1 cause for lawsuits in the US. Again, this robot gives us the ability to balance as well as create the equal amount of leg length in both sides. So again, to reiterate the point, you can actually incline and put the right amount of version in the cup very accurately every time. And second thing, you can avoid leg length discrepancy because you have a number to look at while you're assessing them clinically. And this together, along with the ability to prevent dislocation of the hip, makes robotic THA a great tool to use in our patients. And this is another video, and compared to the knee, the hip was launched a little later. Here you can see Dr. Adarsh actually ream, and you can see that the green part is what we've decided to ream out to put a cup, and then that's what we will be achieving using the robot. So in these slides, you've seen that the same robotic arm can be attached to a saw to do a total knee, can be used with a burr to do a partial knee replacement, and it can also be used to mount a reamer in order to remove and prepare the acetabulum. So for me to summarize the benefits, in a total knee, it gives you accurate sizing, perfect balance, and 100% precise cuts. For partial knee, we've said that it prevents overstuffing and helps us achieve a very complex, demanding, technically demanding surgery. For the total hip, it helps in cup placement, avoid lip length discrepancy, as well as avoid dislocation. Now, this point on the right is even more important than what's on the left. It's our ability to consistently reproduce this in every single surgery, because all surgeons know you have good days and bad days. Sometimes we make some error and we'll have to salvage that situation. But once you have a robot, doesn't matter the experience of the surgeon, he might be just 10 cases old, 100 cases old, or 1,000 cases old. They've done studies to show that doesn't matter what's the experience of the surgeon, you can actually achieve the result by the end of the day because the robot is so consistent and reproducible every single time. Now, we did a lot of due diligence as to which robot to buy. So we went with Mako, though it was a big financial investment, because we knew that it is more versatile and it will help us give benefit to our patients. So if just to reiterate our point, Mako is the only image-based, because I told you, because of the image, we are able to plan the surgery even before we go into the OR. Number two, it is the only robot with a robotic arm where different tools can be attached so that you can do different surgeries. Number three, this is the only system where all the three applications which we've gone through can be done. Right now, there is no robot in the world which can do all three applications. And last is the haptic boundary, which gives you the safety net so that you don't injure structures around the joint and you accurately cut what you want to cut. And Mako has a long history from Stryker. There are more than this, say 750 systems installations across the world, but I'm happy to report that it's crossed 1,000 just recently. The number of peer-reviewed publications are also more than 130. So the rich experience, the amount of patents they have, and the number of installations reiterate and also indicate us as to why we went for this particular system. So all this we've mentioned as to why and how it actually helps the surgeon, but does it actually translate into patient benefit? So now, since we have so much data, we can actually tell you, because with each study, we could show that the patient has amount of benefit coming to them. First is actually the amount of pain. If you look at 90-day pain, we've shown that in this graph, you can actually see in manual surgery, the amount of VAS score is much higher as compared to manual surgery. Now people ask, how is this possible? It is attributed to the fact that one, you have a haptic boundary, you don't cross go into the soft tissues. We don't have to dislocate the joint to make a tibial cut. We don't have to recut because manually when you do, and if you think you haven't cut the right amount of bone, you have to do recuts. So the amount of surgery done, the amount of assault you do on soft tissues is drastically reduced. So 90-day pain has shown better results. And this obviously translates into better patient satisfaction because patients have less pain, they're happier to move, they're happier to achieve their rehabilitation goals much earlier as compared to a patient who's done manual knees. So this is another slide which summarizes that if you have less pain, this translates into less opiate use, less hospital stay, less need for physical therapy, and we've already discussed about postoperative pain. This is another slide which shows why Mako partial knee using a robot is so important, because here you can look at the alignment both in the femoral component as well as the tibial component. The target value is within 2 degrees, and that is achieved so commonly in yellow with the Mako robot as compared to the manual robot. Because the manual robot, manually you can't achieve that. The amount of failure within the first 5 years is more than 4 to 5%. Again, the next slide tells us because you're doing such an accurate job, even in a partial knee, you have less pain, less analgesia requirement, and they get up and walk much earlier. The amount of physical therapy sessions are also much less.
Yeah, sorry, I just wanted to elaborate. RAPCA means robotic assisted partial knee arthroplasty. So for the people who don't know that.
Yeah. So this is a pictogram which we created for the patients, which reiterates all the advantages which are patient-based, namely the cuts are so precise, they have less pain, the bleeding is less, the amount of transfusion they require is less, they have better recovery, shorter hospital stay. Reduction in infection is a debatable thing, just it hasn't been proved, but because the amount of assault on tissue is less, it can be indirectly reduced. There can be less amount of infection, but that has to be proven. And there is great flexibility and maneuverability in these patients, and they return to their work much quicker. So that's in a nutshell, the technical aspect of why the robot is advantageous both to the patient as well as the surgeon. Now I'll just hand it over back to Dr. Adarsh.
Thank you, Sir. So I think you would have all understood how the robot is beneficial. Wonderfully mentioned, I mean, wonderfully taken through by Suhasa. Beneficial to the surgeon as well as the patient. So we just spoke about in general how this robot, how especially this specifically the Mako robot is useful. So I want to now talk about our own journey. So we robot, our journey with the Mako. So as boss will testify, the Striker team, at that time, the robot was owned by the Watiku team, but now they're merged with Striker. They were quoting us since all the way back in 2018. And we weren't really convinced of its use then. And we really never thought we'll go ahead with it. But somehow they managed to send us to Australia for an observership. And that was the eye opener. This is in Jan 2019. All of us had gone to Australia, boss, sir, and myself. And Kushal had gone a few months later. And we visited 3 hospitals, St. Vincent's East Hospital, St. John of God Hospital, and the Epworth Hospital in Australia. At each center, we learned, we observed, Kushal also went there on the same time. We observed different procedures, the total knee, the partial knee, as well as the total hip. And this was the eye-opener. After seeing these surgeries being performed with the robot at these centers, especially the partial knee and the total hip, we were sold. That is when we decided that oh, this really is beneficial for the patient, especially in the hip, when we saw that you can place the cup exact anteversion, exact inclination, and you don't have to ream more than once. You just ream the amount of bone that it shows. You don't lose any bone over there. And then when we looked at the partial knee, as Suhasar said, exact angulation, the varus, valgus, everything, we were sold there. So then we went to USA for training. All of us went to separate places. We went to Holy Cross Hospital in Florida, Morton Plant Hospital in Florida, and Virtue Hospital in New Jersey. Again, this was an observership of live surgeries with these surgeons, Mako users. And finally, we went to the Striker Cadaver Lab in Mahwah, New Jersey. And that's to be certified, you have to go there and actually go through the bone sawbone models and do all the 3 procedures have to be done by us, and then we can get certified. So we went to do that as well in December 2019. And we finally, all 4 of us got certified, Boss, Kushal, Suhasar, and myself, and all the 3 applications. And you have to be certified before acquiring robot. So finally we acquired it. So the robot became ours, and this is the image that we used for our promotions initially. We had the experience of AVGR and the precision of the robot. But the thought process behind it was, can we make it viable? Now, I know probably it's a public platform. You may have this question in your mind, how expensive is this? So it was 10 big ones, 10 CR we spent on this robot. Okay, I'm putting it out there. As usual, the worrisome people in our family, that's me, that's mom, we were always thinking, how are we going to make this viable? Is it even possible? I think this is going to be a white elephant. We are spending too much money on this. Because there are other hospitals who have taken robots, and especially Da Vinci and all that. I mean, I think Da Vinci is being used well, but this Mako robot in India may not be viable because there's a lot of cost attached to it. So we did a lot of calculations, Dr. Kushal, Dr. Suhas, and they got together, they calculated everything. And what we came to conclusion was that minimum 20 robotic joints had to be done per month to break even, maybe after 2 or 3 years. And that started to worry us. And this is my expression when we got that calculation. Damn. Okay. But watch this space. I'll come back to this slide after I present the rest of the story. I mean, of course, needless to say, boss was enthusiastic. He always jumps, and he looks later. Is the depth, is the water too deep or not? Usually he comes out floating. He comes out swimming. The rest of us we don't even take the plunge, but he took the plunge, and it definitely paid off. I'll tell you how. Okay, so on Feb 1st, we launched our journey with Orthobotics started. We christened our robotics department as Sunshine Orthobotics, and we were designated Global Center of Excellence for Robot-Assisted Joint Replacements. The numbers that we have, the thousands of joints that we do. So this, we were given the Center of Excellence for the world. So we can train surgeons from all over the world. So on Feb 1st, we had the ribbon cutting, not the ribbon cutting. PV Sindhu was one of our chief guests. So she actually inaugurated the robot on stage.
Yeah, that's it. You can see that any vibrations, it will stop.
Okay. And we introduced our own cartoon characters. We have Neo, we have Hippie, and we have Orthobot. So we did a few comic strips. We're going to restart these comic strips. You may have seen in Kachboli Hospital, we have some of these strips around the walls as well. And we'll be restarting this campaign on social media soon. Okay. Then we had Dr. Thomas Kuhn. He is one of the senior, and he's a designer surgeon for Mako. He came all the way down to Hyderabad to our Gachibowli unit. And as you can see, we converted him into a complete Indian with coconut breaking and everything. And I just have a few words from him.
Okay, I'm Dr. Tom Kuhn from California, United States, and I'm an international expert in robotic knee surgery. Over the past several days, I've come to Hyderabad to help Dr. Reddy establish his world-class program in robotic surgery. And I'm happy to say they've set up a really first-class program here. Your surgeons are great, staff has been excellent, and they have first-rate equipment. So I would recommend that you come here at any time. Thank you.
Oh, sorry, I was muted.
Yeah, you're on mute.
So, yeah. So this is our first Mako total knee that we did on that day. I think we did 4 or 5 surgeries. All of us got our hands on the machine. And it was a great experience under the guidance of Dr. Kuhn. Right. So we cut a lot of cakes in the last few months. This one was for the launch party. This was fastest 50 surgeries. And this is fastest 100 Mako joints. Okay. And then recently we were given this certification that we set a global benchmark for the fastest 200 robotic joint replacements in the world. It's very recent. And then we launched our hip department in 21st Jan.
It's the interactive session last time, and so we will have many more sessions to come. As I said, we will invite you to come to India sometime, and we will see you in China. Yeah, it's a good honor. Yeah, okay. Right. So.
You can see the setup there. That was our first hip replacement. Okay. And of course, Dr. Vibian sir and Dr. Ashok sir were very instrumental in the launch of this department, the hip part. And then recently, just a couple of weeks back, we celebrated 400 micro replacements, and we cut another cake. If we keep going like this, I think we'll end up like this kid from Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. Too much of cake. So I think we better stop celebrating with cake cutting. Very important. Now let's see our present numbers. It's a staggering 489 total surgeries performed. Now, as of this talk, we already finished another 2 this morning. So we're on 491. And mind you, this is in spite of a 6-month lockdown. 6 months, we had no cases and we still managed to reach 491. That's the fastest in the world. So I think I would say hats off to AVGR sir for getting all these patients. Out of these 489, 442 were total knee replacements, 36 were partial knee replacements, and 11 were total hip replacements. And our average procedure time is now 1 hour. Initially, a lot of people fear that getting into robotics and new technology increases our surgery time. But now we're time neutral is what we call it. We are doing with the robotics the same pace that we do with the normal conventional conventional surgery. Now, the humans behind the robotic, it's a very, very important team. We couldn't have gotten this milestones without these people. I'm going to just take a minute to personally thank each and every one of these people. If you start all the way from the OP, it's a long process to get this robotic surgery done. Starts in the OP, obviously. We have the boss himself. The people just come and they adore him and they come for him. And we thought it would be difficult to convert patients for robotics because there is an extra cost involved. But just with the way he speaks and the way he explains things, we were quite surprised to see now patients are actually coming and asking for the robot themselves. So we have AVJR sir, we have our counselors, we have Krishnavini here, Malika is there, we have Daisy in Sikandrabad branch, and we have Indra as well, and we have Amar. All these people help in the counseling part, which is very important. We have our fellows, very, very important part of our group. I can't thank all of them with name because it'll take too long, but they're working day and night, especially in the OP, they're running around and they're doing a good job there. Then we have the striker team. The striker team consists of, this is Sandeep over here. We have Krishnamurti, we have Dheeraj, we have another Sandeep. Now these guys, especially Sandeep over here, mind you, his job starts almost 3 to 4 days before the surgery. We have to get the CT scan of the patient done. After getting the CT scan, he has to go home and he spends 3 to 4 hours on each patient, getting the segments of each and every CT scan slice, getting them together, creating the 3D model. All this is done behind the scenes before we enter the theater. And sometimes he's up at 4 a.m. doing this, and he's in the theater till 12 a.m. sometimes in the night. And he's supported by the rest of the striker team. We have the anesthesia team, obviously. Of course, without them, nothing can be done. And especially the robotics, they're also here sometimes 5 a.m. Today, I think they were here at 4:30. We had taken our cases at 6 a.m. incision. Of course, Praveen sir is no longer at Sunshine, but he was instrumental. Now Pratap sir has taken over. We have Girish sir, we have Vijay Lakshmi ma'am, Kavita ma'am, Vaibhav sir, Karthik sir, Siddharth sir, Rajesh sir, and Joeria ma'am, who has just recently left. This team is extremely important. We have the OT nurses. We have, of course, our Bindu sister, Bindu Chechi. She's been with us from the beginning of Sunshine. I just want to mention, Bindu was shifting to Bangalore with her children, and they even got admission for kids there, and her husband got a job there. She was shifting, and we needed her because it was a new venture. We needed a senior most person who knows how to handle these kind of machines. And boss just asked her to stay back, and she changed her whole plan. She relocated her kids back to Hyderabad, and she stayed just to help us launch this robotic department. And we couldn't have done this without her. She's trained 4 nurses very well. Apart from Chandra sister is her lieutenant. And we have 4 nurses over here. We have Rani sister, Shilpa sister, Rajeshwari sister, and Ruti sister. We have Devendra, the technician, and his team. And of course, our surgeons, Suhas sir, Kushal, Prasha, and again, the fellows, even in the OT, they're here by 4:35 sometimes in the morning. One thing I want to mention is the other surgeons. Vibian sir, Ashok sir helped us in the hip launch, of course. Rashekar sir, Kishore, Ratnakar, Sandeep, Chiranjeevi ma'am, Devakar sir. Thanks to their support, especially at the Secunderabad branch and in the conventional cases, were able to take the load of the robotics as well. And of course, the physiotherapy team, Sudhakar and the rest of the team. So I'm sorry it took too long on this slide, but I really wanted to thank each and every one of these people. We couldn't have done it without you guys. Okay, so now, as I said, we're a center of excellence. Not only are we doing good numbers, but now we are training other surgeons. That's the beauty of it. Like we went to Australia and US. Now we are going to train some people. So here we went to HN Reliance Hospital. That's in Mumbai. We have very senior doctors like Dr. Nilen Shah. And this is Ambani's hospital. And they called us there to demonstrate a robotic replacement. Then we went to MS Ramaya, the cadaver lab in Bangalore, to train Dr. Milind Patil and Dr. Hunjan. These are two senior surgeons, one from Mumbai and one from Chandigarh. So that's an honor in itself. And now we have surgeons coming from all over the world to train with us. So they need to get certified, and to do that, they have to come and train from a center of excellence like ours, Dr. Hunjan, Dr. Milind Patil, and Dr. Jagdish from Bangalore. So it feels good. It's come full circle. We went to train just a year ago, and now we are training other surgeons who are quite senior. So let's go back to this slide. Acquisition, can we make it viable? And as I said, boss took the plunge, and I said we needed to do 20 robotic joints per month to make it viable. And at the moment, we're doing more than 100 joints per month. And now the expression is, say what? Okay, so yes, we can make it viable, and it's only thanks to this one man. And of course, the whole support team that I just mentioned. So now let's go to our outcomes. I spoke about general outcomes. Suhas sir spoke about the general outcomes, and he spoke about how the papers which are published showing a better pain relief, better recovery period and everything. But let's see our own patients. Does it really translate to our own patients? Yes, the answer is yes. Fantastic. Okay, these are results. This is what we have found. So let's have a look. Now, this is a partial knee replacement or unicorn knee arthroplasty. This is just day 2. She's the day after surgery. That's how she's walking. And you notice she's sitting down, squatting, and she's chatting with boss. This is the very next day after surgery. And that's how beautiful this machine and this procedure is. And this is a partial knee replacement. A gentleman, 85-year-old, is a neighbor of my in-laws. This is 1 week after surgery. He calls me. He sent me this video. And this is how he's gone back to his walking at his in his locality. Suhas sir and Prahasha will take us through some of these slides. These are some knee replacement surgery patients. Prahasha?
Yeah, thank you. So at the outset, I'd like to thank my boss, Dr. Guru Reddy, for giving me the opportunity to participate in robotics, and for the rest of the team, Dr. Adarsh Kushal and Dr. Suhas, for training me in the process. And many of the seniors in the audience, they have seen me as a postgraduate joining in 2015. The reason I joined Sunshine at that time in orthopedics was not because my dad was there and I could have lunch with him every day, but because Sunshine was a brand by itself, and we were offering the best of the care for such a huge number of people on a daily basis. And 5 years later, nothing's changed. We've only become better at what we do. We're offering the best of the technology with the best of the outcomes for the Indian patients in far greater numbers than the people who have actually developed it. So without much delay, we can just jump into these few slides where we can see in this video, we can see a gentleman just 1 day after surgery. This video is taken in the ICU, and he is able to just flex his knee all the way to 90 or 100 degrees, which is very, very rare. And it's really astonishing to see someone of his age. He's 78 years old. He actually came back for the second knee surgery just a few days back. And he's come just with the confidence that Dr. Guru Reddy will take care, because he has come against the wishes of his entire family. There are no attenders accompanying him. He just wants this perfect outcome, and he has come 2 times. He's operated and is independently walking around. Next slide. So in the US and in the Western world especially, they deal with very straightforward knees. The moment they have stage 1 or stage 2 arthritis and they want to return to their daily activities, they go ahead and do major procedures. But in India, we know how patients come to us after 20 years of suffering with their problem, and we see deformities which are unheard of in the Western world. And hopefully in the near future, we will be able to develop our own way of dealing with these problems, and we can get this published in the literature. So this is a 65-year-old lady with bilateral knee involvement with gross varus, and this is how she looked in the preoperative stage. And you can see how difficult it is for her to walk unassisted. It takes 2 people support and a walker support for her to move around. Next slide. And this is the benefit of robotics. We have gone from a 22 to 25 degree varus, and we're able to correct everything. So we're able to see exactly how much of bone we're cutting. We know exactly what bone defects are there. We know how we're going to manage these issues in surgery. and we're dynamically balancing. And you can see as it's being shown, we have all these numbers which show how many millimeters of bone we're cutting. So we can cut even less than 2 millimeters or 1 millimeter, which is very difficult to do when we are doing it in a manual way. Next slide. So in all these gross cases, without doing much of a soft tissue release, without damaging the soft tissues in a way that is more than what is required, we're able to perfectly balance the knee. And this is in both the flexion and extension gaps of the knee are coming to perfect 22s, which means that the knee is balanced. And you can see how perfect the X-rays look in the postoperative period with the deformity completely corrected. And postoperatively, the patient, so this is how it was in the pre-op. And then the next slide, we can go and see how these knees are corrected in the postoperative period. So this is a gentleman looking at this, looking at the X-rays, it seems like this could have been a pretty straightforward knee. But in the next slide, you will see how severe the deformity actually was for him. And in the postoperative period, we're able to get them fully corrected and mobile. So this is a 47-year-old with a gross valgus knee with the hyperextension, a very loose and lax knee. This is a relatively rare deformity we deal with because 85 to 90% of our knees are all straightforward varus knees, but this is a gross valgus knee. Next slide. So in this case, again, we'll have to titrate the balancing of the joint by moving the component factors in such a way that we will be able to balance the knee perfectly. You can see how lax the knee is and how it's opening up on the medial side. And we've completely corrected it. We can see how straight the knee has become. And again, we're using like minimal bone cuts to get what we need. So just 10 days post-operatively, he's walking completely unassisted, no walker, no stick, no crutch. And he's able to walk unaided, and he doesn't have any residual deformity or laxity of his knee joint. Next slide. So this is a 61-year-old gentleman. He's an orthopedic surgeon, close associate of Dr. Gurva Reddy. And he presented to us also with a bilateral valgus deformity, and a lot of difficulty walking and activities of daily living were hampered in his case. And with robotics, we were able to restore complete functionality. You can see how good the X-rays look and how freely he's able to walk, and his gait has completely changed and normalized after the surgery is done. So again, a few more cases where we have very severe valgus, they're completely corrected again. And the walking videos are testament to the fact that all these patients, they were unable to do anything by themselves before surgery. They were either dependent on their family members or on aids, and after surgery, they're doing really well. So there's a 21-year-old with bilateral hip involvement at a young age. Before surgery, is unable to ambulate again independently, and post-operatively was doing much better. Next one. And 3 months after surgery, he's absolutely fine. He's walking, and you can see how different the gait is. He's no longer having a stiff or a painful hip, and he's having the mobility that he needs to pursue all the activities at his age group. These are all patients who are all doing so well, and we used to give them these smaller robots as a souvenir for coming and getting robotic surgery done. And this was what we were doing when we had launched the robotics at the start. And these are all patients just 1 month post-op. First 4 patients, and just 1 month post-op, they're all walking, no walker, no assistants. And you can see by the smiles on their faces, and that's testament to how good the surgery is gone for them. So why are we getting a better result in these patients? Because we're able to maintain the knee kinematics, we're able to titrate the bone cuts, we're able to do less ligamentous soft tissue releases. The haptic control makes the soft tissue injuries or any inadvertent injuries very minimal or almost none. And then we really, as Dr. Suha said, we don't need to sublux the knee or manipulate the knee beyond a particular point to finish all the cuts in these cases. And as far as the research is concerned, we have started and we are currently recruiting in 2 randomized controlled trials. And hopefully next year, we should have the data collected to prove without a doubt and objectively that the pain and the outcomes of robotic assisted knee replacement is on par and superior as compared to manual total knees. And we are going to be assessing how different the pain is and how quickly the patients are able to rehabilitate after we do robotic surgery in these patients. So I'd like to hand over back to Dr. Adarsh to take us to look ahead to the future of the robotics in the Sunshine Group.
Thank you, Prasha. Yeah, so as you all have seen, our patients have also had wonderful results. Prash has gone through all these, the different results in the total knee, the partial knee and the total hip. They're doing great. And this has given us a lot of confidence to take Sunshine Orthobotics to the next level. So the future of Sunshine Orthobotics, the first thing is we'll be getting shoulder replacement sometime in the future. It's not been launched around the world yet. So this will be the 4th joint that we can be replacing with the robot in due course of time. And of course, Dr. Chandrasekhar and Dr. Kushal will be closely involved in that department. And we're also now considering, another robot at Secunderabad. So we got to see if Orthobot is going to get a companion at Secunderabad. We are in the talks right now with the Striker team, and let's hope that materializes. So thank you for your patient listening. I'm going to hand over to the big boss himself, that is Robo, Dr. AVGR.
Yeah, good morning, everyone. Okay, I'll come there. I'll come there. Yeah.
Dad, you have to mute your phone. Yeah, now you can. Now you can go. You have to unmute yourself. We can't hear you, boss. You have to unmute yourself.
Yeah, okay. Good morning, everyone. Let me first of all say hello to my grandson Arjun and then Mahika, if she is listening. Arjun, thank you so much for giving us such a happiness at home after so much of hectic jobs. Arjun, thank you, my friend. Is Mahika there? Arjun, Mahika there?
I don't think so. I'm in the hospital.
You're in the hospital, but Harsha is not good in that? Okay.
I don't know.
Right. Thanks, everyone. I think, as I said, a chain is as strong as its weakest link. And I'm happy that all my links are the stronger than me. Of course, not in the thought process. They're all chickens when compared to me, especially my son. He's a 90-year-old man when it comes to the thought process and discussions and all that. And I'm the 20-year-old cowboy. Okay. And given to that, his mother is another 140-year-old lady. So with so much of skepticism at family.
Let's be happy that we still keep quiet. To whatever you do, we just listen.
Okay, Bhavan, I'll give it to you. Let us not wash our dirty linen in the public. Okay, good. So, but what I'm saying is it is a great journey and 1 year. And I should thank the whole team of the 4 members, 2 biological sons and 2 professional sons, Adarsh and Kushal and Suhas and Praharsha. Without these 4, I couldn't have done this one. And especially thanks to this guy Suhas, because he was the one who pushed us into buying this, because he doesn't, he's not involved in the financials, so he lose nothing. But you need to have one guy like that in the team to make it success. If you keep on counting the pennies before taking a decision, this robot would not have seen the light in sunshine. But we took the plunge, thanks to Suhas' daredevil approach, because his money is not there on the table. But anyway, of course, I was very confident because with our numbers, it's a simple solution. But I'm also amazed with the speed with which we have adopted the robotics. That's really mind-boggling. I initially, when we bought the robotics, I see, 100+ patients in the OPD. I spend hardly 5 minutes with them. And I thought I have to put separate clinics and earmark at least 20 minutes to 30 minutes for each patient to convince them to convert into robotics, because we are charging almost 1 lakh extra. So I made a special brochures, we made a special patient awareness sheets, all those things. But to my surprise, within no time, the convincing need was reduced to 1 minute. Now it is just a flow. I'll say that, look, you need to be operated, and now we got the latest robot. It will help you help us to get the better outcomes. That's all I'll tell. Patients want the robotics. But this is really, as Adarsh was saying, a testament of the patients' of faith and trust in us. So that's a really great thing. That's why we don't do, I don't need to mention the names. There are people who don't use the robots, just keep the robot brochure outside and do the manual and say the patient that we didn't done the robotic surgery. So we don't do that. We are very, very faithful. And so that also adds to our professionalism and ethics. So, and in fact, we are now trying to put a very decent discharge letter because we got a lot of frenemies in Hyderabad. So some of them might accuse us that we are not doing robots. How can it be possible to do so many robotic surgery per day? So we are now trying to put a...
By starting at 6 a.m. like we did today. That's the only
exactly. So that's what we are now trying to do, a very structured discharge letter, which will capture the real-time images of the patient. So this is some of the things. But the outcomes are very good. It's not the fancy tie or fancy toy for the surgeon. So we have now more than 400 surgeries, and there is no doubt about that. Papers ko goli maro, international literature ko goli maro. We have our own assessment, the physiotherapists, the fellows, everyone now acknowledges and endorses the outcomes of the patients. And especially the bending and the partial knee replacement and hip replacement, that is the only way to do is the robotics. And now we are so inundated with the request because the Secunderabad, so we have got to get the patients moved to Gachibowli. So now we almost decided to buy another robot, and so we'll put it in Secunderabad. Now Stryker is planning to make us a cadaveric learning center. So there will be cadavers supplied to us over the weekends, and the surgeons will come and do this sort of stuff as well. So a lot of things are happening, and thanks to Praharsha and Suhas, the research also is going very, very rapidly, because at the end of the day, we will be the world leaders, mark my words, because nobody will do so many number of cases with so much deformities. So we will be the global leaders in the next 5 years in the robotics. So there is no doubt about that. So for that, we need a team, and Suhas and Praharsha, because it's a multi-faceted team. Adarsh and Kushal are involved in so much of logistics, the other aspects, and Suhas and Praharsha help us in the research and other aspects. And now we are going to recruit our other registrars, not registrars, so the associate consultants, Kishore, Ratnakar, Sandeep, Dr. Chiranjeevi. All these people will be drafted into our robotic program, and definitely the robotics will be a flagship for Sunshine Orthobotics in the future. So, and at the same time, let me thank all the people involved in this program to make it success, right from the fellows, anesthetists, physiotherapists, counselors, others already mentioned, and it's a wonderful journey to have the team like this. Anything I forgot? I think we've done all the things, right? So there are a couple of questions here I wanted to answer without somebody questioning. Is the robot only way to do any replacement? The answer is no. Is robot mandatory to get an excellent outcomes? The answer is no. Will robot add that extra to the outcomes? The answer is yes. These are some of the important things. The robot will get you to the last mile, as Suhas said, the consistency and the accuracy adding to our experience. So that's what it is. But consistently, I have found that the pain is less and the patient rehab is very, very fast. We are seeing now almost 1 year post-ops. The conventional knee replacement people keep on grumbling about the pain, stiffness for more than 1 year. But these guys are within 3 months, they're walking normally. They're saying no complaints at all. So that itself is an endorsement of the outcomes.
Not all the conventional patients, few of them.
Yeah, okay, not all conventional, some of them. So, but of course, we would not be here doing so many numbers without robotics. So that's what it is. So I think we have done a good job. And as I said, orthopedics and the joint replacement. Not only that, now we got a spine team, so we got a arthroscopy teams, trauma teams. I think it's the largest group practice in India, largest group practice in India. And we are very, very proud and fulfilled that we have managed to do this for the sake of the patients. And so all your blessings and best wishes. Otherwise, this journey would not be possible like this. But in the future, still like many, many more miles to go before I sleep. And so I think next 10 years will be very exciting. But what I'm very glad and publicly endorse is the future of orthopedics in Sunshine is in safe hands. We've got a bunch of young people who are having fire in the belly and who are very professional and very ethical. And so I'm very happy that this is going to be a great future for the people. Thank you so much for all of you. As I said, Sunshine is a family atmosphere and I want to keep it that way. And at the same time, let me digress a minute. We wanted to host you all on this Saturday, but I myself changed the plan because the numbers are going up and 300 people, 400 people gathering, and I don't want them to go into social media and tomorrow somebody comment on us. So that's why I held back. Hope you all understand. But time is not too far before we all celebrate the end of COVID, and we will celebrate at our home. So that's what it is. Thank you so much. Now the house is open for bouquets and brickbats. Yeah, multiple screen. Right. Okay.
Heartiest congratulations to Dr. Gurva Reddy and the team. The most important message I just want to tell everyone is that this is a world record. In such a short span of time, the team has achieved a huge number, and it is just going to increase further exponentially. This only means that we'll have a lot of opportunity to churn out papers, and I think that should be the aim. Being world-class leaders in numbers and outcomes is one, and publishing and training the next generations is the next one. And I'm sure that Gurva Reddy and team will excel in that as well. Thank you.
Yeah, definitely, Anil, which you rightly told. And I'm glad to say that your son is spearheading that research front. He really burns a lot of midnight oil to get us the good papers for the conferences and publications. Really, he's very, very instrumental, and his contribution is very, very well acknowledged.
Thank you for giving me the opportunity, sir.
Well, I think a fantastic and congratulations for such a fantastic work. And I'm sure in no time they'll be touching the 1,000 number. And I'm really happy that we're doing extremely well. I have a small question. So with this robo, am I audible?
Yeah.
Yeah. With this robo, like patients of HPCAG, hepatitis C, hepatitis B, I mean, should we take any new precautions, or where do we stand? All the patients are same, or still you have to take extra precautions for the B and C virus?
We still have to take the precautions, sir. We are still doing the surgery ourselves.
Okay.
The only advantage is the amount of tissue that we are cutting, the amount of exposure, the time spent in the wound is little less. So we may have a little less chance of getting some contracting it, but we're still doing the surgery ourselves. So it's the same as any conventional case.
Okay.
And a lot of the components are disposable. So once we use, we get rid of them and use new ones.
Okay. So the disposal, same disposables, or anything extra for this B and C?
We need a drape to drape the robot, things like that.
Yeah, there are some extra consumables which will cost you some.
The arrays are there.
Yeah, arrays are there.
Okay.
Extra pins in the board.
Okay. Right. Thank you.
Kushal.
Yeah.
Yeah, your thoughts. Just you came introduction. You're driving or you're being driven?
No, I was driving initially. Now I'm at the back.
Okay.
Yeah, great journey, and looking forward to many more milestones ahead. So everything from patient safety to outcomes in terms of long-term outcomes. And except for the financial aspect, which we thought would be too much for us to handle, I think even that bridge has been crossed now. So we are satisfied with the way the program has gone. I think we didn't expect it to pick up pace the way it has, but we're extremely satisfied. And that is thanks to your guidance and your leadership. So hats off to you.
Yeah, VBN sir, any other? Bhavani, where is Bhavani?
Yes, I'm here.
Vivian sir, you're muted, sir. We can't hear you.
Yeah, Bhavani,
Vivian sir.
please give one word of appreciation.
One second. Vivian sir wanted to say something. After that.
I'm just happy that the expenditure slowly we are recovering.
Sir, it is really, I was involved in HIP. The way the reaming is wonderful, sir, really. One stroke, very meticulous reaming will occur, cup can be just kept. All things can be done within few seconds, maybe 30 seconds or 1 minute, which we used to do at least 15 to 20 minutes in a conventional way. I'm really impressed. I hope that HIP numbers also will increase, and definitely it will become a remarkable thing in the history. Thank you for all this thing.
Bhavani, you must record all your money.
No. What do you think? We spend a lot, so to recover all our money, it will take a long time.
Don't say long time. It will take a short time. Yeah, let me introduce Sandeep, the Mako product specialist. Okay, he is one of the guys. I said we are 4 surgeons. We can rotate, but he's the only one. So he has to be there for every surgery, and he has to prepare the CT scans and all that. But great guy, and he is really putting 24 hours a day here. To our fortune that he's not married. So married to robotics here now.
Don't get new ideas.
Exactly. Okay. Yeah. Right. So
Yeah, any questions, please feel free to ask everyone.
Yeah. What, Rajiv? Krishna, the nephrologist?
Good morning, sir.
Yeah.
Sorry, sir, I missed what you said.
No, I'm just asking.
I have one question for Dr. Adarsh, sir.
Yeah.
Yes, sir. Rajesh, sir.
Yeah. Are there any side effects which are unique to this machine?
Take a decision.
Yeah, that's a good question, sir. There are some theoretical side effects, complications that we may have. Now, in a robotic total knee replacement, we have something known as an array, where we have to put 2 pins into the thigh, into the femur, and 2 pins into the tibia, to which there are attached these visa discs. They're basically like receptors for the camera, because for the robot has to know real time where the joint is moving, where the leg is moving. So you have to put these through 2 pins in the femur and 2 pins in the tibia. There is a theoretical complication that these may cause a stress riser and may cause fractures in the future if it's not placed properly, or if the bone is very osteoporotic. Touch wood, we've never had that complication till now, and I can only think of that one complication that can be there for robotics. Anything else, Dr. Suhas, that you can think of?
Not really, but since these are all machines, we can run into some snags and technical troubles. But except
but see, at the end of the day, the patient will not be affected. Suppose if the machine gets into snag and shutdown mode, we take over, and then we will do the surgery. So there is nothing like a patient is stuck because the machine is gone.
Yeah, the beauty of the semi-automated is that even if worst case scenario, it never happened to us. If the robot suddenly decides it's not having a good day, we can always step in and take over. But that QS robot which I showed you,
the complication only specific to robot is that array pins, stress risers and fractures, but that is 1 in 1,000. 1 in 1,000, such a rare phenomenon. But otherwise, the other people used to claim that it takes a lot of time, but now we have become time neutral. In fact, we are now time negative, or should I time positive, should I say. We are now doing less faster than conventional surgery. because here we don't need to look at the balancing and all that. We just see the balance and done. I think if anybody is interested, they can come into theater and see this one. It will be a phenomenal, what do you call, celebration of science and technology. The robot just comes and stays there. That you just press the trigger. So that's it. And
I'll make a joke at the expense of our anesthesia colleagues. So in our usual conventional TCATs, that's so boring and mundane. I think they fall asleep most of the time. But during the robotics, they're actually watching the screen and seeing the green part getting sort of.
Yeah, and again, if it goes out of the haptic boundary, you can't do anything. You just stop. So these are some of the things which are tremendous technology advances. Right.
So, sir, this is Gopal here, sir.
Yeah, Gopal.
So congratulations to you all, sir. The important thing is people were telling, especially Adarsh and Madam, that they were skeptical whether to recover this money or not. But this is all in your mind, sir. You know how many cases you do. That's how you, pursued this program. I think it's all, you know that how many numbers you are doing and when is it going to be, I appreciate you, sir, and thank you very much. Especially the sunshine, when you go outside, our reputation has gone up, especially though we are into other specialties. When the institution reputation goes up, we are almost receiving the same. So that's what it is. And especially, one should have that young feeling that we should adapt to the newer technologies when you have to really be into the business. That's what you did, I think. And when it comes to the coming to our Secunderabad branch, I think he was saying that Chiranjeevi Madam is going to have it, how she is going to receive, because she's one more doctor where wants to stick on to the roots. So
she herself is a robot, sir.
Yeah, that's what I'm telling. So how she will adapt to the newer robot, we should see. Thank you very much, all of you.
I'll just make a comment to Gopal sir's thing. Sir, although sir always knew how many numbers can be generated, just because this robot is 3 times the cost. The average ones that are around in the city and in many in India also, they are around 4 to 5 crores costing, and this is 3 times. So that is why the real anxiety before buying it, saying will we be able to match and will we be able to do justice to it. The
same thing might have been there in the sir's mind when the sunshine was established. That's what I'm trying to say. So that's how the people, the leaders decide.
That time was ignorance. He didn't know what EBITDA was. He keeps saying. That helped him that time.
Ignorance is bliss. Nagarjuna, you're saying something?
Good morning, sir.
Yeah. What's up?
Yes, sir. First and foremost, my congratulations to the entire team. Where there's a will, there's a way. And I'm your leadership is definitely going to take to different heights. It's a very well orchestrated team, and I'm sure the music is going to play on. And I'm very proud to say that we are part of the global phenomenon where one day we'll be called as the leaders, which I'm sure our team is working very hard on it. And I'm very happy to be associated with this.
Thank you, sir.
Good. Thanks, boss. Nagarjuna. Nagarjuna, unmute.
Yeah. Am I audible? I mean, Salah.
Yeah.
Thing is, what I want to ask you is, with your insight into the TKR, I'm sure the company must be taking a lot of input from you to improve the robo. I'm sure there will be new models with your input.
Yeah, definitely, sir. They are taking.
Okay.
Yeah, because once we came on board, they managed to sell 4 or 5 robos in the last 1 year, which didn't happen in the last 5 years.
Okay.
So the visibility is more, and so definitely the touch points have become more.
Yeah, they're waiting for our papers to be published to be able to promote around the world, like whether robotic and manual, which is better.
But one thing I should re-emphasize the other colleagues and consultants, the beauty is in the teamwork. Here, if you see, if it is not the team, If I had just went myself for the training and come back like most of the surgeons do, it would not have been possible. We could not have done these surgeries, the research and everything. Now we are 4 guys. Praharsha is now added. He's going to get certified. Tomorrow other registrars, senior registrars also will get into the fold. So that is the success story. And this I really subscribe to the right from day one. Right, I was in KIMS. I was the first one to start a group orthopedic practice in this part of the world. And so that's why I plead to all the other consultants, do not work in islands. The future belongs to the teams. Team building is not a simple thing. Team building means more giving than taking. So if you give that concept to open, the great teams can be built and you can have a wonderful time professionally and personally. So that's what the beauty of the team building. So I would urge all the consultants to open your horizons and get into the logistics of team building. So gone those days where one guy sits there and runs the whole empire for 100 years. No, you are as good as the last Friday's hit, as simple as that, in a cinema parlor. So I would urge all the people to develop the teams, and I am the living example of the success of the teams. So go for it.
Sir, good morning, sir. Vikram Sharma here, sir.
Vikram.
Sir, absolutely amazing, sir. There are so many feathers already in your cap, and nobody can definitely count those feathers. Sir, it is.
He's a peacock now, sir.
Absolutely, sir. So it's been really a great story, sir, which we heard. Thank you, others, sir, for that wonderful presentation. And it's opened a very big insight for how things can be done and how things can be taken in the future. Hats off to you, sir. I mean, I've taken this example from you, sir, that team practice is definitely a very big phenomenon to have. And I thank all my colleagues and friends out here who have really helped me also to grow in my career in this hospital. Thank you very much, sir. And hearty congratulations to all the
Thank
team.
you, Vikram. And another beauty in my team is horses for courses. That is, again, I'm blessed. See, if you want to have a beautiful, like a Bahubali trailer, Adarsh is the man. See how much effort he has put and how many video clips he has made, and we will make it so interesting. And if you wanted to talk about the theater and theater etiquette, and Suhas is the man. And if you wanted to pull these guys to the last penny and bargain, Kushal is the man. And if you want a research project and put a beautiful PowerPoint presentation, Praharsha is the man. So I just sit there and assign to the different people. That is the beauty of the team.
I just wanted to ask you, sir, can I also join, sir, in this team?
Yes, you bring your own expertise. What do you want to do?
I mean, I can't take away those ladders from you, sir. Definitely. Thanks a lot, sir.
All right, good. Yeah. Wonderful. Right?
Okay, you want to conclude? Yeah. So, I think we had a fantastic session. So, I think we'll conclude today's meeting. And again, the congratulations to the whole team, particularly Adarsh, Kushal, Suhas, and Praharsha, with the guidance of Dr. Guru. So, bye-bye.
Thank you, sir. Thank you all. See you.